Look at this beauty, speed queen. Brittany, a white woman with a smug grin, stormed into Keisha Johnson's Atlanta office, tossing glossy Lamborghini Huracán brochures onto the mahogany desk. Her gold earrings flashed as she leaned in, voice dripping with triumph. Marcus bought it for me last week, said I earned it after his old baggage. Keisha, a stunning black woman in a crisp white blazer and teal mermaid skirt, her sleek black hair cascading, eyed the brochures calmly. Brittany, where do you get the loan? She asked, her tone smooth as Atlanta's skyline glowed through towering windows. The office froze. Assistants paused. Execs lingered, sensing drama. Brittany's heels clacked, oblivious that the car was Keisha's. Who owns what in this tangled game? Will pride crash before truth unveils? Rate 1 if you're hooked, 0 if not. Stay to unravel the real winner. Brittany's voice sliced through the hushed Atlanta office like a blade, her words dripping with smug victory. Marcus bought me Speed Queen. Pure fire! She flung a stack of glossy Lamborghini Huracán brochures onto Keisha Johnson's mahogany desk, each page gleaming with the car's red curves and chrome allure. Her gold earrings swung as she leaned forward, a white woman reveling in her moment, her smirk daring anyone to challenge her triumph. He said I deserved it, you know, after dragging around his old baggage. The words landed like a slap, deliberate and sharp, aimed at the black woman seated before her. Keisha, her presence a quiet storm, in a tailored white blazer and teal mermaid skirt, her long black hair a sleek curtain, didn't flinch. Her dark eyes traced the brochures, a faint smile curling her lips, not of defeat, but of a predator sizing up prey. Brittany, she said, voice smooth as polished glass. Did Marcus mention where he got the financing? The question hung, deceptively simple, yet heavy with intent. Brittany's laugh rang out, sharp and brittle, cutting through the corporate silence. Who cares? He's loaded. No penny pinching like some. Her eyes flicked over Keisha, implying a past she assumed she'd outshone. The office was a cathedral of ambition, its towering windows framing Atlanta's skyline, where steel and glass reflected dreams forged in fire. Assistants froze at their desks, fingers hovering over keyboards, while executives lingered in doorways, drawn to the electric charge of the confrontation. They knew the history, Marcus Jackson's betrayal, leaving Keisha, a black woman who'd built his empire's foundation. For Brittany, the white glitzy upgrade who thrived on TikTok likes and VIP booths. But none knew the secret Keisha held, the one that made Brittany's strut a march toward ruin. Brittany's confidence was a performance, each gesture calculated to wound. She spread the brochures like a winning hand, photos spilling across the desk, engine shots, leather interiors, Brittany posing in tight dresses beside Marcus, both grinning at their supposed victory. 300 grand, she boasted, voice rising. But when you're with a man like Marcus, money's no object. Her words were a taunt, a blade twisted in the wound of Keisha's past. Unlike some who couldn't keep their man happy. The office held its breath, the air thick with anticipation. Tasha, Keisha's aide, shifted uncomfortably near the door, her eyes darting between the women. Staff exchanged glances, sensing a storm brewing in this rare clash of personal and professional. Keisha's heart pulsed with a familiar ache, not for Marcus, but for the years she'd poured into a man who'd traded her for flash. She remembered nights in their old Civic, city lights blurring as they dreamed of bigger things, his promises of forever whispered under starlit skies. Those memories, once treasures, now fuel her resolve. She wasn't the woman Marcus had left, the one he'd reduced to a shadow of his ambition. She was Keisha Johnson, a black queen who'd turned betrayal into power. Her fingers grazed a brochure, the car's sleek lines a testament to her own choices. She'd selected this very Lamborghini, knowing it would lure Brittany's vanity and Marcus's weakness. Stunning car, Keisha said, her voice a velvet blade. What's its plate? Brittany's smirk widened, oblivious to the trap. Speed Queen. Marcus said it screams fresh starts, leaving old weight behind. The jab was clear, but Keisha's smile didn't waver. She set the brochure down with deliberate care, her eyes locking onto Brittany's. Bold choice. Tell me, did Marcus share the loan details? The question was a spark in dry grass, and Brittany's bravado flickered for a heartbeat. "Does it matter?" she snapped, her laugh forced now, a crack in her armor. "He doesn't beg for scraps like some." Keisha leaned back, her chair creaking softly. A throne in this corporate arena. She felt the weight of every eye in the room, the staff waiting for her move. They'd seen her navigate hostile takeovers, outsmart boardroom sharks, but this was different. Personal, raw, a duel of pride and pain. Brittany's confidence was a house of cards, built on the assumption she'd won Marcus, won the life Keisha had lost. But Keisha knew the truth. Brittany was parading a prize that bore her name, a car registered under Johnson Ventures LLC, a silent testament to her empire. The room pulsed with tension, the kind that made hearts race and breath catch. Brittany's strut, her tossed brochures, her taunts. They were all fuel for Keisha's quiet fire. She felt no anger, only a cool satisfaction, knowing each step Brittany took was deeper into her trap. The other woman's pride was a weapon Keisha had sharpened, her need to flaunt a noose Keisha had tied. "Ever had someone try to hurt you with your own creation?" Keisha's voice broke the silence, soft but piercing, addressing the invisible audience beyond the office walls. "That moment, they think they're ahead, but you're already 10 moves forward? Drop a comment if patience ever won you a war." Brittany's eyes narrowed, sensing a shift, but not its depth. She stood taller, clutching her Gucci bag like a shield, her white privilege a cloak she wore without question. "What's your game, Keisha?" she demanded, voice sharp but unsteady. Keisha's smile widened, a crescent of certainty. "No game," she said, fingers brushing her phone. "Just curious about Speed Queen's paperwork. Titles, loans, insurance. They're so traceable." The word landed like a stone in still water, ripples spreading through the office. Brittany's face tightened, a flicker of doubt betraying her bravado. Keisha's heart beat steadily, not with the pain of betrayal, but with the thrill of control. She'd built this moment, piece by piece, knowing Brittany's need to gloat would lead her here. The brochures on her desk weren't just pictures. They were evidence. Each glossy page a step toward Brittany's unraveling. Keisha felt the eyes of her team, their respect a quiet roar, amplifying her strength. She was no longer Marcus's shadow, no longer the wife who'd faded into utility. She was a black woman who'd turned loss into leverage, heartbreak into an empire. The office air crackled, every whisper and glance a thread in the drama's tapestry. Brittany stood, oblivious to the noose tightening, her pride a beacon for Keisha's strategy. Keisha's fingers hovered over her phone, ready to dial a number that would shift this game forever. "Let's verify some details," she said, voice calm but lethal. "You're so proud of Marcus's gift, right?" Brittany's smirk faltered, a crack in the facade of her victory, as Keisha prepared to reveal the truth that would shatter her world. Brittany's defiance flared, her head tossing back as she snapped, "Verify whatever you want, Keisha. Marcus doesn't hide his wins. Not like some who fade into obscurity." Her words were a calculated jab, slicing through the charged silence of the Atlanta office. But Keisha Johnson remained unmoved, her dark eyes gleaming with a predator's patience. Her fingers lingered over her phone, the call unmade, letting Brittany's arrogance bubble like a storm about to break. The staff held their breath, assistants frozen mid-task, executives hovering in doorways, their pulses quickened by the raw clash of wills. Brittany's heart thumped with the thrill of dominance, her white skin flushed, certain she'd struck a fatal blow in a war she believed she'd won. Keisha's mind slipped back, not to pain, but to the ember that had sparked her transformation. 6 months prior, in their New York loft, once a haven of shared dreams, the air had grown heavy with betrayal. Marcus Jackson, a white executive chasing youth, had packed his suits under the city's neon glow, avoiding Keisha's gaze. "You're making a mistake," she'd murmured from the doorway, her voice steady despite the ache tearing through her. At 42, Marcus had shot back, "I need to feel alive, Keisha. Brittany does that." His words burned, reducing 17 years of partnership to ash, casting Keisha as old baggage in his pursuit of dazzle. Brittany Hayes, 26 and unapologetically white, was a whirlwind of TikTok filters and nightclub glamour, collecting designer labels like trophies, thriving on the spotlight. She made Marcus feel like the mogul he craved, a stark contrast to Keisha's quiet strength. Their final fight echoed in Keisha's memory, Marcus's voice sharp in the loft's high ceilings. "She's electric," he'd shouted. "When did we last have fun, Keisha? Not just building, but living?" Keisha had stayed silent, her heart fracturing as she realized 17 years had turned her into his aide, not his equal, her sacrifices invisible in his chase for the next thrill. The sting of that night resurfaced as Brittany's laughter grated, a harsh edge cutting the office hush. "Admit it, Keisha. You're jealous," Brittany pressed, her eyes alight with cruel glee. "Marcus upgraded. Younger, hotter, more fun. It must kill you seeing what he picked over you." The staff's glances darted, their sympathy for Keisha a silent pulse. Tasha, her aide, clenched her fists, loyalty burning. Brittany felt invincible, her heart racing with the rush of supremacy, unaware that each taunt was a step deeper into Keisha's trap. Keisha's emotions swirled, not anger, but a deep sorrow for Marcus's fall, laced with fierce pride in her own rise. The divorce hadn't shattered her, it had forged her. While Marcus chased Brittany's chaos, Keisha had channeled her pain into power. 3 months after the split, an auto startup she'd quietly backed went public, tripling her wealth overnight. By the time Marcus wed Brittany in a ceremony costing more than most homes, Keisha's fortune had quadrupled, silent and unstoppable. She'd moved to Atlanta, her skyline condo, a fortress of glass and steel, where she built not just wealth but dominance. No one had noticed her ascent, their eyes fixed on flashier stories. For years, Keisha had been Marcus's shadow, the gala charmer, the contract fixer, the silent engine behind his firm. But behind that role, she'd studied dinners unveiling deal tactics, board meetings revealing power plays, charity networks opening doors Marcus never saw. Her heart had ached for every dismissed effort, but now it beat with purpose. "Ever loved someone who chose shine over substance?" Keisha's voice pierced the silence, soft but resonant, speaking to an unseen audience. "Someone who traded steady love for chaos? Comment how you faced their self-destruction." Brittany's smirk wavered, her confidence cracking under Keisha's steady gaze. A flicker of unease stirred in her chest. Why wasn't Keisha breaking? Her white privilege, usually a shield, felt flimsy now, her triumph souring. She'd come to wound, to prove her victory, but Keisha's calm was a mirror exposing her fragility. Marcus had promised her everything, yet in quiet moments she caught him staring at old photos, his eyes distant. Keisha, meanwhile, felt a surge of empowerment, her sorrow for Marcus tempered by the thrill of her own strength. She wasn't the wife he'd discarded. She was a black queen who'd turned loss into leverage. The office air crackled, whispers and glances weaving a tapestry of anticipation. Brittany stood, clutching her Gucci bag like a lifeline, her pride a beacon for Keisha's strategy. Keisha's heart beat steadily, not with pain but with the quiet fire of control. She'd crafted this moment, knowing Brittany's need to gloat would lead her here. The brochures on her desk weren't just pictures. They were proof, each glossy page a step toward Brittany's fall. "What's your angle, Keisha?" Brittany demanded, her voice sharp but unsteady. Keisha's smile widened, a crescent of certainty. "No angle," she said, fingers brushing her phone. "Just curious about Speed Queen's paperwork. Titles are so revealing." Brittany's defiance wavered, her fingers tightening on her Gucci clutch as Keisha's calm words lingered like a storm's first rumble. "Revealing? Please, Keisha, spare me the cryptic act," she scoffed, but her voice betrayed a tremor, a crack in her polished armor. Keisha's smile held, a quiet blade, her dark eyes gleaming with the certainty of a woman who'd already won. The office air pulsed with unspoken tension, staff members stealing glances, their anticipation a silent drumbeat. Brittany's heart raced, her white skin prickling with the unease of being outmaneuvered. Yet she clung to her bravado, refusing to see the trap closing around her. Keisha, unshaken, felt a surge of purpose, her emotions a blend of resolve in the faint echo of old wounds, now fuel for her empire's fire. Her mind flashed to the meticulous plan she'd woven, a chessboard where every move was hers. Months ago, Keisha had spotted the perfect bait, a Lamborghini Huracán, dubbed Speed Queen, its red curves and roaring engine, a siren call for Brittany's vanity. She'd ensured it was listed through Johnson Ventures LLC, her holding company, its ownership veiled by layers of shell firms. Keisha knew Brittany's obsession with TikTok clout would drive Marcus to buy it, stretching his finances to the breaking point. The car wasn't just a purchase, it was a noose, crafted to expose Brittany's pride and Marcus's folly. Keisha's heart had quickened when her private investigator confirmed Marcus's signature on the deal, a pawn moving exactly where she'd placed it. Brittany's voice cut through Keisha's reverie, sharp with forced confidence. "You're fishing for something, Keisha, but you're out of your league. Marcus and I, we're the real deal." She tossed her hair, a white woman's assurance radiating, but her eyes darted, betraying doubt. Keisha felt a flicker of pity, not for Brittany's impending fall, but for the insecurity driving her to this stage. Brittany's need to prove she'd won Marcus was a hollow crusade, one Keisha had anticipated and weaponized. "Ever set a trap someone walked into blindly?" Keisha's voice was soft, aimed at the invisible audience beyond. "Comment if you've watched pride lead to ruin." The office staff leaned closer, sensing the shift. Tasha, Keisha's aide, stood rigid, her loyalty a quiet flame. Keisha's emotions churned, not anger, but a fierce pride in her strategic mind, a black woman's resilience forged in betrayal's crucible. She'd spent months researching Speed Queen, selecting a car flashy enough to hook Brittany, costly enough to strain Marcus's weakening empire. The deal was structured so every payment, every maintenance fee, flowed back to her companies. Johnson Ventures owned the dealership, Johnson Capital the loan, Johnson protect the insurance. Keisha's heart beat with the thrill of control, each detail a thread in her tapestry of justice. Brittany paced, her heels clicking like a countdown. "Marcus doesn't play small," she bragged, clutching a brochure. "This car, it's our future, not your past." Her words aimed to wound, but Keisha felt only the steady pulse of her own power. She remembered a text from Marcus, received just days ago. "Hope Atlanta's treating you right. Hunting a car for Britt's birthday." The irony was delicious. Marcus, a white man who'd traded depth for dazzle, was buying Keisha's car to please the woman who'd stolen him. Her emotions swirled, satisfaction at the trap's precision, tinged with sorrow for the man who'd once shared her dreams. The office buzzed, whispers weaving through the air. Brittany's confidence was a fragile mask, her heart pounding with the need to dominate, to prove she'd eclipsed Keisha. She'd posted Speed Queen's photos on TikTok, each clip a declaration of victory, unaware they were advertising Keisha's empire. Keisha felt a quiet triumph, her pain from Marcus's betrayal now a distant echo, transformed into leverage. She'd built this moment, knowing Brittany's need to gloat would lead her here, to this desk, to this confrontation. "What's more satisfying?" Keisha asked, voice low but piercing. "Quick revenge or a plan that unfolds perfectly? Comment your choice." Brittany's eyes narrowed, her white privilege a shield she didn't know was cracking. "You're stalling, Keisha. What's the point of this?" Her voice was sharp, but her hands trembled slightly, clutching the brochure like a lifeline. Keisha's heart steadied, her emotions a blend of resolve and anticipation. She'd orchestrated every detail, the car's sale, the loan's terms, the insurance, all funneled through her empire. Brittany's pride was the bait, and Marcus's weakness the hook. Keisha felt no malice, only the cool satisfaction of a black woman who'd turned betrayal into a throne. The office staff watched, their silence a canvas for the drama. Brittany stood, oblivious to the noose tightening, her heart racing with the need to prove her worth. Keisha's fingers brushed her phone, ready to dial the number that would unravel Brittany's world. "Paperwork's fascinating," Keisha said, her voice a velvet trap, "especially when it tells a story you didn't expect." Brittany's smirk faltered, a shadow of doubt crossing her face, her triumph suddenly heavy. Keisha's emotions surged, not joy, but a profound certainty, the kind that came from knowing she'd built an empire that could rewrite any narrative. The white woman's smirk faltered further, her fingers clenching the brochure as if it could anchor her crumbling confidence. "You're bluffing," she hissed. her voice a mix of defiance and dawning fear, the office's hushed whispers amplifying her unease. Keisha's words about paperwork hung like a veil, revealing just enough to unsettle, her own heart steady with the thrill of the unfolding plan. The staff exchanged glances, their anticipation thickening the air, while Tasha stood poised, loyalty etched in her stance. The mistress felt her pulse quicken, a shadow of doubt creeping in. Why did this feel like a game she hadn't chosen to play? Her mind raced back to the penthouse in New York, where the seeds of this confrontation had been sown. The ex-husband paced the marble floors, his white face etched with stress lines that hadn't been there before. Reports from his firm lay scattered on the kitchen island, numbers bleeding red without the black woman's sharp insights. "Maybe we should wait on the car," he suggested, his voice tentative, eyes avoiding hers. The mistress's heart sank, her insecurity flaring. She'd pushed for the Lamborghini, seeing it as proof of her victory, a shiny emblem of the life she'd claimed from the ex-wife. He sighed, rubbing his temples, a flicker of regret crossing his features. The firm was faltering, deals slipping through fingers that once closed with ease, all because he'd dismissed her quiet genius. "Things are tight," he admitted, his tone laced with the weight of unspoken mistakes. The mistress's emotions churned, frustration mixed with a gnawing fear that his hesitation meant more than money. She'd built her world around him, around the glamour he provided. But lately his distant stares hinted at ghosts from the past. "Wait? Our friends are asking about the Lambo," she pressed, her voice rising, desperation seeping in. "Tell them we can't afford it?" The ex-husband's heart twisted, memories flooding him. The late nights where the black woman had dissected contracts, her mind a razor cutting through chaos. He'd taken it for granted, trading that stability for the mistress's excitement, her youthful energy that made him feel invincible. But now the thrill faded, replaced by the harsh reality of his choices. "The business needs time to stabilize," he replied, his voice heavy with the regret he couldn't voice. The mistress felt a pang of panic, her white privilege no shield against the creeping doubt. She scrolled through TikTok, comparing her posts to imagined judgments from the ex-wife, her insecurity blooming into resolve. She'd prove her place, show the world she was the upgrade. Emotions clashed in the penthouse's opulent space, chandeliers casting shadows that mirrored their turmoil. The ex-husband sat, his shoulders slumped, feeling the void where partnership once thrived. He missed the black woman's steadiness, her ability to turn crises into opportunities, a depth the mistress's flash couldn't match. "Jessica's husband got her one last month," the mistress continued, her tone edging into a whine, her heart pounding with the need to secure her status. He winced, the pressure mounting, his regret a silent storm. Saying no felt like echoing the black woman's quiet fate in their final years, a sadness he'd fled but now haunted him. The mistress's mind whirled, her emotions a tempest of fear and determination. She wrapped her arms around him, her lips brushing his neck, a calculated affection to sway him. "You're successful. Successful men take risks for the women they love." Her voice purred, but beneath it lurked vulnerability, the fear that his love was convenience, not passion. The ex-husband's resolve cracked, his heart heavy with the cost. He needed her to need him, to fill the emptiness left by his choices. "Fine," he muttered, signing off on the purchase, his fingers trembling as the deal locked in, oblivious that every dollar flowed to the black woman's empire. Back in the office, the mistress's unease grew, her earlier taunts now feeling hollow. She paced, heels clicking, her white face flushed with a mix of anger and anxiety. The black woman's calm was infuriating, a mirror to her own fragility. "You think you can intimidate me?" she demanded, her voice rising, emotions boiling over. Keisha's heart remained steady, her pity for the mistress tempered by the justice of her plan. The staff watched, their sympathy for Keisha a quiet undercurrent, amplifying the drama's intensity. The mistress's insecurity peaked, her decision crystallizing. She'd confront the black woman head-on, prove her superiority, unaware it would seal her downfall. The ex-husband's regret deepened in the penthouse, his mind wandering to the black woman's insights that had once saved him. He stared at his phone, a half-formed text to her unsent, his emotions a tangle of longing and shame. The mistress, sensing his distraction, felt a stab of jealousy, her heart aching with the fear of being second best. "What bothers me most about your ex?" she said, scrolling photos, her voice laced with venom. "She acts superior, starting that Atlanta biz like she's proving something." He tensed, his reply clipped. "She's not proving anything." The mistress's emotions flared, pity mixed with cruelty. "I feel sorry for her," replaced by someone better. Her words stung him, a reminder of the depth he'd lost. He pulled away, his heart heavy. "Let's focus on us." The mistress's mood shifted, arms encircling him. "Yes, with Speed Queen. It's perfect." Her purr masked her desperation, her emotions a whirlwind of need for validation. The ex-husband agreed, his regret buried deep, the purchase a bandage on a wound that wouldn't heal. The mistress's heart soared momentarily, but doubt lingered, her insecurity driving her toward the confrontation that would expose everything. The office tension mounted, the mistress's pacing a rhythm of her inner turmoil. Keisha's presence loomed, her emotional fortress unbreakable, a black woman's strength born from adversity. The mistress's decision solidified. She'd march into that office, brochures in hand, to crush any lingering doubt. Her heart pounded with a mix of excitement and fear, blind to the trap. Keisha, sensing the endgame, felt a quiet exhilaration, her emotions aligned with the justice she'd engineered. The staff's whispers faded, the drama poised on the edge of revelation. The mistress's pacing faltered, her heels slowing as the weight of Keisha's unshaken gaze pressed against her bravado. Her white face flushed, a mix of defiance and creeping dread, her heart hammering with the realization that this confrontation wasn't hers to control. Keisha sat poised, her calm a fortress, her emotions a blend of quiet triumph and the faint ache of old scars, now fuel for her empire's rise. The office staff watched, their whispers a soft hum, their eyes darting between the women, drawn to the drama's electric pull. The mistress clutched her Gucci bag, fingers trembling, her earlier confidence unraveling like a threadbare scarf, yet she refused to yield, her pride a tether to her crumbling narrative. Keisha's mind was a steel trap, focused on the empire she'd built from betrayal's ashes. Her company, Johnson Ventures, wasn't just a business. It was a kingdom of leverage, spanning dealerships that sold elite cars, garages that polished them, and finance firms that funded them. Speed Queen, the Lamborghini Huracán, was the crown jewel, its every bolt and rim registered under her name, a silent testament to her foresight. She'd known the mistress's TikTok obsession would make the car irresistible, a shiny bait to strain the ex-husband's finances while funneling profits back to her. Her heart pulsed with purpose, not vengeance, but the fierce pride of a black woman who'd turned loss into power. The office air crackled, the staff's anticipation a living pulse. Tasha, Keisha's aide, stood near the door, her loyalty a quiet fire, her eyes reflecting admiration for her boss's restraint. The mistress's emotions churned, anger, fear, and a desperate need to prove her worth, her white privilege a flimsy shield against the dawning truth. She'd posted Speed Queen's photos across TikTok, each clip a boast of victory, unaware they were billboards for Keisha's empire. "Ever turn someone's pride into your profit?" Keisha's voice cut through, soft but sharp, speaking to the unseen audience. "Comment if you flipped a rival's game to your gain." Keisha's phone buzzed, a message from her private investigator. "Marcus signed the deal yesterday. Payments start next week." Her lips curved, a flicker of satisfaction warming her chest. The ex-husband's signature was the final piece, locking him into a financial noose that would tighten with every monthly payment. She'd orchestrated it perfectly. The dealership, Johnson Motors, sold the car. Johnson Capital approved the loan. Johnson Protect issued the insurance. Every dollar he spent was hers, a cycle of profit disguised as his triumph. Her emotions surged, not with malice, but with the thrill of a plan unfolding, a black woman's genius outshining the flash that had stolen her past. The mistress's heart raced, her earlier taunts now a bitter aftertaste. She'd come to gloat, to cement her place as the ex-husband's better choice. But Keisha's calm was a wall she couldn't breach. In New York, she'd pushed him to buy the car, her voice sharp in their penthouse, chandeliers casting cold light on her desperation. Our friends expect it, she'd insisted, her white skin flushed with urgency, her emotions a tangle of need and fear. You promised me a life that shines. He'd relented, his own heart heavy with unspoken regrets, signing papers that drained his firm's reserves, blind to the trap woven by the woman he'd left behind. Keisha's resolve hardened, her emotions a steady flame. She'd sent flowers to the mistress, a lavish bouquet with a note. Congrats on Speed Queen. She knew they'd spark another TikTok post, the mistress's need for validation, a gift that kept giving. Each video, each hashtag drove inquiries to her dealerships, her garages, her finance firms, turning the mistress's vanity into revenue. The office staff watched, their respect for Keisha a quiet roar, their eyes tracing every move in this chess game. The mistress's insecurity gnawed at her heart aching with the fear that her victory was a mirage, her white privilege no match for Keisha's calculated brilliance. In the penthouse, the ex-husband's regret grew, his emotions a storm of guilt and loss. He'd stared at his laptop, reports showing losses that the black woman's insights once prevented. The mistress's demands, jewelry, trips, now the car, had stretched him thin, each purchase a reminder of the depth he'd traded for dazzle. Why do you keep looking back? She'd snapped, catching him scrolling through old photos, her voice laced with jealousy. His heart twisted, the weight of his choices crushing him, but he couldn't admit the truth. He missed the partnership, the mind that had built his success. The mistress felt the shift, her emotions spiraling, her need to confront Keisha a desperate bid to reclaim her place. The office tension peaked, the staff's whispers fading as they sensed the next move. Keisha's heart beat with a quiet exhilaration, her plan a symphony nearing its crescendo. She'd turned the mistress's pride into a spotlight on her empire, each TikTok post a thread in her web. What's stronger? Keisha asked, her voice a velvet hook for the audience. Flash that fades or power that builds? Comment your take. The mistress's eyes darted, her white face paling as doubt took root. She'd come to win, to prove she'd eclipsed the black woman, but each step felt like sinking sand, her heart pounding with the fear of a truth she couldn't yet see. Keisha's fingers hovered over her phone, the number ready to dial, a call that would unravel the mistress's world. Her emotions were a blend of justice and restraint, her pride as a black woman fueling her resolve. The mistress stood, her confidence a fragile shell, her heart racing with the need to dominate, unaware she was a pawn in a game already won. The office pulsed, the drama a living thing, drawing every eye to the woman who'd turned betrayal into triumph. The mistress's bravado cracked further, her white face paling as she gripped the edge of Keisha's desk, her knuckles whitening. You're wasting my time with this paperwork nonsense, she snapped, but her voice trembled, a thin veneer over the panic bubbling beneath. Keisha's gaze remained steady, her heart a quiet furnace of resolve, fueled by the justice she'd meticulously crafted. The office staff leaned closer, their whispers silenced, eyes locked on the unfolding drama, the air thick with the weight of an imminent reckoning. The mistress's emotions churned, anger warring with dread, her earlier triumph now a fragile mass slipping under Keisha's unflinching calm. She'd returned to the office, driven by a burning need to cement her victory, her arms laden with new photos of Speed Queen, the Lamborghini Huracán gleaming in TikTok-ready shots. Each image, her posing against the car's red curves, the ex-husband's arm around her, was meant to wound, to prove she'd outshone the black woman. But Keisha's composure was a wall, reflecting the mistress's insecurity at her. You think you can outdo me? The white woman challenged, spreading the photos across the desk, her heart pounding with desperation to dominate. Keisha's lips curved, not in anger, but in certainty, her emotions a blend of pride and pity for the woman blind to her own downfall. The office pulsed, a theater of tension where every glance was a spotlight. Tasha stood by the door, her loyalty to Keisha a silent blaze, her eyes tracing the mistress's faltering confidence. Keisha's heart beat with the thrill of her plan's precision, her empire a web that had caught its prey. She'd built Johnson Ventures into a powerhouse. Dealerships, garages, finance firms, all woven around Speed Queen's ownership. The car was hers, registered under her name, every payment and service looping back to her coffers. The mistress's TikTok posts, flaunting the car, had driven inquiries to Keisha's businesses, her pride unwittingly fueling Keisha's profit. Ever watch someone advertise your victory? Keisha's voice sliced through, soft but piercing, aimed at the unseen audience. Comment if their ego built your empire. Keisha's fingers moved to her phone, her emotions steady as she dialed, setting the speaker on. The mistress's eyes widened, her heart lurching as the call connected, a voice breaking the silence. Johnson Ventures. Dealer Carter speaking. How can I assist, Ms. Johnson? The words landed like a thunderclap, the office staff gasping, their eyes darting to the white woman's paling face. Can you confirm Speed Queen's registration? Keisha asked, her tone glass smooth, her gaze locked on her rival. Absolutely, Carter replied. Lamborghini Huracán, registered under Johnson Ventures LLC. Maintenance through Johnson Motors, loan via Johnson Capital, insurance by Johnson Protect. All yours, Ms. Johnson. The mistress staggered, her legs unsteady, the photos on the desk now relics of a shattered illusion. Her heart plummeted, her white skin ashen as the truth hit. Speed Queen wasn't hers, never was. Impossible, she croaked, her voice a broken whisper, emotions spiraling into humiliation. The staff openly stared, their murmurs a chorus of awe, witnessing a takedown that would echo through the company. Keisha leaned back, her chair a throne, her emotions a mix of triumph and restraint, her pride as a black woman soaring. She'd turned the mistress's weapon into her own, every glossy photo a testament to her strategic genius. Leaseholder, Keisha pressed, her voice calm but relentless, each word a hammer strike. Marcus Jackson, Carter confirmed. Monthly payments, all processed through your firms. Seamless operation, Ms. Johnson. The office erupted in whispers, the staff's eyes wide, their respect for Keisha a roaring tide. The mistress gripped the desk, her emotions a storm of disbelief and shame, her earlier boasts now ashes in her mouth. She'd come to gloat, to prove her superiority, but stood exposed as a pawn in a game she'd never understood. Her heart raced, the weight of her misstep crushing her white privilege no shield against the truth. Keisha's emotions remained anchored, her pity for the mistress tempered by the justice she'd engineered. She'd known the white woman's need to flaunt would lead her here, to this moment of unraveling. The TikTok posts, the photos, the champagne-fueled boasts, all had served Keisha's empire, turning the mistress's pride into profit. What's more satisfying? Keisha asked, her voice a velvet blade for the audience. Immediate payback or a plan that rewrites the game? Comment your choice. The mistress's eyes darted, her face a mask of defeat, her heart sinking as she realized she'd paraded Keisha's victory as her own. The office air was electric, the staff's gazes a chorus of awe and anticipation. The mistress stood frozen, her emotions a wreckage of pride and humiliation, the photos scattered like evidence of a crime she hadn't foreseen. Keisha's heart beat with quiet exhilaration, her plan a symphony hitting its peak. She'd turned betrayal into power, a black woman's resilience outshining the flash that had tried to erase her. The mistress's voice faltered, barely a whisper. You planned this. Keisha's eyes softened, not with mercy but with truth. I planned to protect what's mine. You chose to make it a weapon. The staff watched, their silence a canvas for the drama's crescendo. The mistress's heart ached, her defeat raw and public, her earlier confidence a ghost. Keisha's emotions held firm, her pride in her empire a steady flame, her victory not in vengeance, but in proving her worth. The office pulsed, the moment a legend in the making, as Keisha prepared for the next move, her phone still warm from the call that had shifted the game forever. The mistress's ashen face crumpled, her hands trembling as she clutched the desk. The photos of Speed Queen now a mocking pile of lies. This can't be real, she whispered, her voice a fractured thread, her heart a battlefield of shame and disbelief. Keisha sat unflinching, her emotions a steady current of resolve, her pride as a black woman burning bright against the white woman's unraveling. The office staff stood riveted, their eyes wide, whispers swallowed by the weight of the moment, the air electric with the fallout of truth. The mistress's heart sank deeper, her earlier bravado shattered, her white privilege a broken shield against the reality that she'd flaunted a car belonging to the woman she'd sought to bury. Keisha's phone buzzed, the screen lighting up with the ex-husband's name, a call that sliced through the silence like a blade. She tapped the speaker, her voice calm but deliberate. "You're on speaker, and she's here," she said, her eyes locked on the mistress's paling face. The staff leaned closer, their anticipation a palpable pulse, sensing a storm about to break. "Keisha, thank God," his voice crackled, raw with panic. "I messed up, big time. The car, the business, everything." His words hung, heavy with regret, each one a blow to the mistress's crumbling world. Her heart lurched, emotions spiraling, fear, betrayal, the sickening realization that her victory was a mirage. "What mess?" the white woman snapped, her voice cracking, nails digging into the mahogany. "Why are you calling her?" The ex-husband's silence stretched, a damning pause that spoke louder than words. "The car's killing us," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The business is tanking without your brain, Keisha. I traded real for flash, and it's falling apart." The staff gasped, their eyes darting between the women, the drama unfolding like a live wire. The mistress's emotions erupted, a mix of rage and despair, her heart breaking under the weight of his confession. She'd fought to prove she was the better choice, only to hear him mourn the black woman he'd left. Keisha's heart remained steady, her pity for the mistress tempered by the justice she'd crafted. She felt no joy in this unraveling, only a quiet pride in her own strength, a black woman who'd turned betrayal into power. "You made your choice," she said, her voice soft but unyielding, addressing the man whose voice trembled through the speaker. "You can't undo it because it's hard." The ex-husband's breath hitched, his emotions a storm of regret and longing. "Our marriage, it's a show," he admitted, his words cutting the mistress deeper. "TikTok posts, parties, all flash, no depth. You were my partner, Keisha, the one who made me better." The mistress staggered, her heart shattering, her white face a mask of raw pain. "A show," she choked, her voice breaking, emotions flooding, humiliation, betrayal, the sting of being second best. The staff watched, their silence a chorus of awe, the confession more devastating than any corporate takedown. "You want her back?" she demanded, tears smearing her makeup, her heart aching with the truth she'd refused to see. "I never should have left," he replied, his voice hollow, each word a nail in the coffin of her dreams. "I thought excitement was happiness, but it's empty. You were the real thing, Keisha." Keisha's emotions flickered, not for his regret, but for the woman caught in its wreckage. She felt a pang of sorrow, not for the loss of him, but for the mistress's blind fight for a man who'd never been hers. "Ever heard a world collapse in real time?" Keisha's voice broke through, soft but piercing, speaking to the unseen audience. "Comment when truth shatters someone's illusion?" The mistress's eyes glistened, her heart a wreck of pride and pain, her earlier confidence now dust. She'd built her identity on winning him, only to learn he'd never left the black woman's shadow. The ex-husband's voice faltered. "The business is dying without your insights," he continued, his regret a raw wound. "The car payments are crushing us, and I lie awake wondering why I chose this." The mistress's breath caught, her emotions a freefall, anger at him, shame before the staff, and a crushing fear that her life was a lie. "You're calling her my partner?" she cried, her voice a strangled plea. "Not my partner," he said, his honesty brutal. "My equal. You're beautiful, but Keisha made me whole." The office air was thick, the staff's gazes a silent jury, their respect for Keisha soaring. She remained still, her emotions a blend of triumph and restraint, her heart anchored by the empire she'd built. The mistress's world dissolved, her heart breaking under the weight of his words. Her white privilege no match for the truth. "You planned this," she whispered, her eyes locking on Keisha, raw with defeat. I plan to protect what's mine, Keisha replied, her voice steady, her pity genuine but firm. You chose to wield it as a weapon. The staff's murmurs grew, the drama a legend unfolding before them. The mistress stood frozen, her emotions a wreckage of pride and loss, her heart grappling with the realization she'd fought for a prize never hers. Keisha's pride as a black woman burned bright, her victory not in vengeance but in proving her worth. What hurts more, she asked, her voice a quiet hook for the audience. Losing a fight or learning it was never yours. Comment your take. The mistress's tears fell, her defeat a public wound, as Keisha held the reins of a game already won. The mistress stood frozen, her tear-streaked face a portrait of defeat, the scattered photos of Speed Queen now a cruel reminder of her shattered illusions. Her heart ached with the raw sting of betrayal, her white skin flushed with humiliation as the office staff's gazes bore into her, their silence louder than any verdict. Keisha remained poised, her emotions a steady blend of pride and unexpected pity, her victory as a black woman hard-won, but tasting faintly of ash. The air thrummed with the aftermath of the ex-husband's confession, his words still echoing through the speaker, a final blow to the mistress's crumbling world. The staff slowly retreated to their tasks, but their eyes lingered, the drama etched into their memory like a corporate legend. Keisha's heart pulsed with quiet resolve, her mind drifting not to triumph, but to the cost of it all. She'd orchestrated this moment, every brochure, every payment, every TikTok post, turning the mistress's pride into a spotlight on her empire. Yet the satisfaction was hollow, a fleeting rush overshadowed by the truth that revenge couldn't erase the past. She gathered the photos, her fingers brushing the glossy images, each one a testament to her strategic genius, but also a reminder of the man who'd once been her partner. Her emotions churned, not for him, but for the woman she'd become, a black queen who'd built a kingdom from betrayal's ruins. The office settled, the hum of keyboards resuming, but the energy remained charged, a testament to the showdown's impact. Tasha approached, her loyalty unspoken but fierce, placing a tablet on the desk with analytics of the mistress's TikTok posts. They're driving inquiries to our dealerships, she said, her voice low. Keisha nodded, her heart steady but heavy, her pride tempered by the realization that victory didn't heal old wounds. It only built new foundations. Ever won a battle but felt empty? Keisha's voice cut through, soft but resonant, aimed at the unseen audience. Comment when revenge left you questioning its worth. The mistress's emotions were a ruins, her heart grappling with the truth that her marriage was a facade, her fight for supremacy, a delusion. She sank into a chair, her white hands trembling as she gathered the photos, each image a lie she told herself about love and triumph. You planned every piece, she whispered, her voice raw, eyes meeting Keisha's, with a mix of hate and defeat. I planned to protect my empire, Keisha replied, her tone gentle but firm, her pity for the white woman genuine yet unyielding. You chose to make my car your trophy. The words landed softly, but they cut deep, exposing the mistress's folly in a room full of witnesses. Keisha's phone buzzed, the ex-husband's name flashing again, texts piling up with apologies and pleas. Her heart flickered, not with longing, but with the quiet resolve to leave him behind. She deleted each message unread, her emotions anchored by the empire that had never betrayed her. The staff's glances softened, their respect for her a silent tide, amplifying her strength. The mistress stood, her movements slow, her white face drained of its earlier fire, her heart heavy with the weight of a life built on borrowed victories. What happens now? She asked, her voice barely audible, emotion stripped bare. You keep the car if he pays, Keisha said, her voice steady, her eyes holding a truth the mistress couldn't escape. But every drive will remind you it's mine. The white woman's shoulders slumped, her defeat a public wound, her heart aching with the realization she'd fought for a man who'd never been hers. She turned to leave, the office's silence a heavy curtain, her steps echoing like a retreat from a battlefield she'd lost. I hate you, she murmured, her voice breaking. Save some for the choices that brought us here, Keisha replied, her emotions a blend of justice and sorrow, her victory a crown she wore lightly. The office returned to its rhythm, but the air held a new weight. The drama, a story that would linger. Keisha stacked the photos neatly, her heart settling into the quiet pride of a black woman who'd turned pain into power. Months later, she stood in her new Porsche, its sleek lines a reward untainted by games. Atlanta's sunset painting the skyline in gold. The ex-husband and his mistress had divorced, Speed Queen repossessed for missed payments, and his firm was crumbling into bankruptcy. Keisha felt no joy, only a quiet sadness for the man who'd once shared her dreams, now ruined by his own folly. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "This is her. Can we talk?" Keisha's heart paused, her emotions a mix of curiosity and caution, the message a spark in the ashes of their war. "Ever found strength you didn't know you had?" Keisha's voice reached out, soft but piercing, to the audience beyond. "Comment when you became more than they expected." She stared at the screen, the city's glow reflecting her empire, her fingers hesitating over a reply, unsure if words could bridge the chasm between victor and vanquished. The sunset faded, leaving Keisha's Porsche bathed in Atlanta's twilight, her heart steady with the quiet strength of a black woman who'd rewritten her story. The drama of Speed Queen, a car that unraveled lives, lingered as a testament to resilience over flash. "Ever turned pain into power?" Her voice reached out, soft but stirring, to the unseen audience. "Comment on how you rose above betrayal." She paused, her emotions a blend of pride and peace. "Thank you for riding this journey with me. Your stories fuel mine. Until next time, keep building your own empire."